Hi guys, and welcome back to At Home with Elisa. Today I'm going to show you a tour of our orchard and our chicken coop. It's one of the only places that I actually haven't shown you on our property, apart from our tiny home of course. But it's one of the only places I haven't shown you, and I thought it would be perfect time as I've got to go down and check for eggs, and I'll show you our plans for what we plan to do with the orchard and what hasn't worked so far. We've been here for about 14 months now. We've learnt a lot. We had some flooding issues, but I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about when we get down there. So let's grab a basket and we'll head off. So when we were setting up our property, we decided to have our vegetable garden and our orchard right next to each other. Reason being is obviously that you can hand some produce over to the chickens when it's time. So this here is our chicken coop. Currently I think we have 16, so we have our coop divided into two, which I'll show you in a second. It's divided into two, and we have bantams and we also have full grown breeds. So this is our vegetable garden, which obviously is still just a work in progress, and we come through here. This is currently the only gate that we have into the orchard, which we will be changing. Just given them some what we call chicken crack, which is basically native bird seed. Coops are due for a clean. So these girls here are our larger breeds that we have. We like to have a mixed flock because it helps to extend your egg harvest when they all go on their little breaks and stuff like that. Hey, no picking. Got some bullies in there. But we like to have the mixed breeds because it does extend the eggs. They sort of stop laying at all different seasons. So this is our chair, and we've just got a nice little flowering plum planted behind it. So it should be nice once it all actually grows in nicely. And this here is our bantams. Generally we don't mix the flock just because of bullying. Bantams can tend to get bullied from the larger breeds. And also Eugene here, which is just beside the water there. He's our little stud muffin, and he is the only boy that we currently own. So we like to breed the bantams, will be our goal for spring, but we don't want to breed the bigger egg layer girls. I've actually had chickens now for going on 10 years. We had them back in our residential property. We actually just lost our last chicken, which was one of the original chickens from 2012. We just lost her last month, so that was a bit sad. Audrey, she passed away. She was our eldest chicken. So a lot of our chickens were actually purchased, and some of them are adopted. So we have come across people that we know and people that we don't know who need to rehome chickens, and we've put our hands up and asked if we could take them on. We like to have a nice flock here, and I like the idea of being able to rescue some animals that may not be able to stay in a residential area and bring them to our farm and have them live happy days here. I do apologise for the poor light. I ran out of time today. I was supposed to do this earlier, but you can see the chicken coop's actually broken into two. So just at this point just here, there's actually a wire going the whole way across the coop, and it separates the bantams area from what we call the big girls. So we call them little girls and big girls, which is very technical, I'm sure. And you can see just in front there's actually a whole heap of rocks and sandbags from when it flooded. The wood here, we're actually hoping to elevate the whole coop and lift it up. So I'll be painting all that wood black, and we'll be lifting it up a little bit. That's in an effort to help with some drainage and some flooding issues that we've had. And then we'll be sort of backfilling it with a whole heap of rocks. So I believe that's on the schedule for September. So I just have a wine barrel outside of either end of the coops, and that is actually just got a beautiful Magnifica gardenia, which is just one of my favourite gardenias. So that will get lovely and big and beautiful big white smelly flowers. Other than that, we haven't done too many other plantings in here apart from the fruit trees, which I'll show you. But that's the girls' area. That's generally, I believe it's 4 meters by 3 meters. And we do have plans to actually just have this one enclosure here, the whole enclosure, which is obviously 8 by 3. We're hoping to just have the big girls housed in that, and at Christmas time we're looking at purchasing for over this area here. we're looking at purchasing another 6 by 3 meter enclosure and putting our bantams in there, so they'll be separate completely. So generally we don't let them mix just because of bullying. We like to keep them separate, so each day, each alternate day, they have their own time out into the orchard area. So obviously it's big girls day out today, and tomorrow it'll be little girls day out, and we find that that works well. And then I usually give them treats. Both flocks get treats each day, whether it just be native bird seed or some leftover fruit and veggies, and it just helps to keep them occupied to try and limit any bullying problems that we may have. This here is the only water source that we have for the girls. We're able to actually just hook up a hose and fill it up. I am hoping to, once I have elevated the coop itself, I'm actually hoping to put some steel ColourBond roofing on top there and collect rainwater off it. I think that everything has to be sustainable out here. So I'm trying terribly to avoid the setting sun, but as you can see over this side, so the coop's over there. It's quite a large area. You can see how long the sun shadow are. But it's quite a large area. We've got some excess storage here which we need to find another place for. I've just got some rocks in a bucket here which was from when it was flooding, compost bin, and our greenhouse which is currently under construction. So this area to the side of it, I'll actually be putting a fence from this post all the way over to this edge here. And that's actually going to be like a working utility area for me for the garden. So I'll have composting bins, probably that dresser table that you can see there. My IBC will be moved into this section so that all the other stuff which is currently in the garden side of the fencing, that will actually be just for gardens. So it's currently under construction, and you can see we've obviously got some stuff here. We've got a bonfire coming up, so we've been storing things for a bonfire night that we have coming up. So it's quite a large area here. I believe it's about 160 square meters, the same size as the actual garden area. The girls have been very happy out here. Obviously they have so much freedom, so much room to roam, which is just absolutely lovely for them. So we have struggled to maintain this area a little bit. I think when we first moved here, we just needed, basically it was just try and protect from foxes, which we do have foxes around. You can see that yellow thing just on that post there, that's actually a fox light. And we do have some other sensor solar lights attached to the other side of the garden which shine further down the block, because that's where our fox pressure seems to come from. The neighbours have told us that they have had foxes around here and we have seen them quite a few times. So we're trying to protect the girls as best we can. When we first moved here, we basically just wanted to get the fence up so that then we wouldn't have as much problems with foxes or even goannas. We have huge goannas here, so we wanted to make sure that we could protect them. So the fencing just kind of went up, but we didn't stop to think that we would actually need to mow in here. I was hoping that the girls would be able to keep the grass down, but they only want to eat what they want to eat, and it's not all the weeds as well. So one change that we are looking to make is, apart from just having that tiny gate that comes from the vegetable garden into here, we're looking to install a gate on this side just here, in between these two fence posts here. So we'll have a gate that swings open, and that way when my husband does all his mowing, which he does obviously mow down here around some of the trees that we've planted, when he does the mowing we'll be able to just come in via the gate and actually mow in the orchard here as well, instead of using a push mower, which is obviously a little bit of a problem. I'm just here and look at this tiny little fairy wren. Oh, and it's gone. We have so many native birds here, it's beautiful. While I'm down here, I'll see if I can catch one of the blue ones. The blue ones are absolutely stunning. They're the boys. The boys are bright blue. The girls are brown, but they're still gorgeous and they chirp, and late afternoon is when they tend to be out in the garden. And we've actually seen all different types of wildlife birds here in this orchard with the girls. So we've seen the crimson rosellas, eastern rosellas, so many kookaburras, so many different types of birds, little willy wagtails, so many different types of birds, and they all seem to just hang out in here with the other girls, which is kind of cute, but it's also a little bit of a problem if it comes to any sort of avian flus or anything like that. But we sort of can't really do anything about it, so I think the girls are perfectly fine at the moment. So like every other area on our property, it is one that's currently under construction and under change. It's worked perfectly function wise. in that it's kept the girls nice and safe, and we haven't had any losses, thankfully, because they are like, they're part of our family. So we've been very lucky that way. But it is time to start making it a little bit more beautiful. So originally when I moved here, Originally when we moved here, we actually had some trees planted in this orchard. The plan was that we'd have beautiful fruit trees and it wouldn't be a problem with the chickens. Obviously, chickens like to dig up roots of trees. This is a lemon tree, and this was my first plan of attack. So beautiful, surrounded by big stakes and lots of wire. It works really well, but it looks so ugly. So then I went to plan B. So this is plan B. It was no wire, no stakes, planted into the grass with, you can still see them. We put lots and lots of newspaper down, and we put some really heavy rocks on to stop the girls from digging underneath. And that kind of worked well, but then we had 5 months basically that we couldn't really get in here to do much maintenance because everything was currently flooding, and yeah, the grass took over. So the grass took over the last lot, so I'm coming up with another plan. I'm thinking that the one that I just showed you, which is the orange tree, that is actually in quite a low area of our orchard here. The orchard has had some significant flooding, which if you've watched my flooding video, it was pretty bad. I have had to pull up a mandarin tree and put it into a pot. It seems to be recovering well, which is good because they were just so waterlogged. Like I'm talking, currently they had about a foot of water running over the top of the whole tree. That's how bad the flooding was in this particular section of our property. So the chickens are okay, but the trees are still obviously suffering from some of that damage. So I'm thinking that I probably will pull them out of the ground and actually put them into kind of like a little raised bed, or even maybe some pots above the ground. Just because I'm looking at obviously putting another chicken coop over in this corner over here. So if I keep them where they're movable until I know for sure exactly what I want to do, and then I'll plant them in the ground then. So we're very keen to get that other chicken coop up and running. It'll be the same enclosure as what we've got currently. Hopefully again we'll be able to put that metal sheeting on the roof and collect water off it. So it'll be in this area here, and it's, as I said, it's a 6 by 3 meter, same sort of enclosure, and it'll just be for the bantam breeds, and then obviously we'll need to build a new roost as well. So we're currently in winter, and this spring we were looking to allow the girls, the bantams, little girls, to be able to breed. So that would be very exciting for our family and for our kids. I think that they would absolutely love it. So I just need to look into, we've obviously raised chicks before, but I haven't raised chicks within a coop setting. So we actually were the ones that were able to raise them. They were just by themselves. We purchased them as day-old or 2-day-old chicks. But this year we actually want to let them breed themselves. So that's something that I need to look in and need to research before spring. Before it all starts to happen would be a good plan. So this is what happens. So this is what happens when you have chickens. What do they say? Never work with animals and children. Hey, Georgie girl. Hey, pretty girl. Hello. Oh, you're sliding, are you? Hi. Can you see yourself? Chickens are hilarious to work with. We love having all the different breeds and the different colour eggs. We have all different eggs, from the green to the aqua to bright white to, you know, the light brown. There is one called a chocolate Moran chicken, which I would love to see if I could get the chocolate Moran, because they lay beautiful chocolate colour eggs. So that's one that I'll keep an eye out for. But it's nice having the different breeds because they do lay at different times, which is kind of nice, which means that you're able to extend your egg season a little bit. Like right now we don't have our aracunas, which are the green and the aqua colour eggs. They're not actually laying at the moment, so I've got every other egg colour except for that one. And this area here belongs to our big girls. As you can see, both the coops are in need of a clean, which is on my to-do list for this week. I usually just clean out their roosts and their enclosures, usually about once a week, once a fortnight. I came across an excellent product which is called Coupex. We had a little bit of a problem with mites last year, and I think the year before at our old house we had a problem with mites. When I moved here, I found a product called Coupex, which was available from a rural store that we go to get a lot of our pet supplies from. And it's fantastic. So you spray it, it's like a residual spray. It's nothing harmful to the animals, nothing harmful to the eggs that they produce. And it's a residual spray which lasts for about 6 months, and I've had really good success with it. So it's fantastic for anyone who's got chickens. Coupex is the name of it. So you dilute it with some water. I put it in a big pump sprayer, which I keep down here in the orchard, and you just spray it on the inside of the chicken coop. So it's fantastic on the bottom of the feeders, on the bottom of the roosting bars, in the nesting boxes. It's just fantastic. So apart from the fruit trees which I was talking about, where we would have to probably put them either in raised beds or in some large pots, eventually we will end up putting them into the ground once we really know exactly where we want to keep things and what the layout will be in here. At the moment it's kind of weird spacing things out and making sure that it just functions. It's got to function properly and then it can look pretty. So we do have some existing, obviously, citrus trees, which I've shown you, but we also wanted to add some stone fruit trees and some apples. I also would like to add some other trees if I can fit them in, but I have heard of a company called the Fruit Salad Tree, and they essentially have one tree which is multi-grafted, and it has like, you can have like 2 different types of peaches, plums, nectarines was the one that I was looking at, and then they do other ones with apples as well, so you can get 4 or 5 different varieties on the one actual tree. Even though we do have a large property here, we can't actually have anything outside of the fence because of the wallaby pressure that we do have, and I have no doubt that the possums, which I've seen on the other side of the property, would really love to get in here as well. Hopefully it hasn't happened as yet, but you never know when it's going to happen. So if I have to net everything, then I have to net everything. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I'd really like to have some more fruit trees, in particular those stone fruit and the apples. And I just have to work out exactly how we can do that here. So exactly what the location's going to be. So those are the only other plans that we currently have for the chicken coops and the orchard. Obviously, we need to work on some beautification because I like things to be pretty, and things are not pretty right now. The function served us very well, but as soon as we get the function sorted, we need to make it nice and pretty. So I plan on getting these looking really lovely. I do have plans. I've actually just purchased some little, some little garlands for the front of the chicken coop doors, as you do. So I'm excited to get those up and running. I want to put some dried flowers on them, so I'm waiting for my flowers to dry out, and then I'll put them on the front of the coops. So that'll be fun. Thank you so much for joining me today in the garden and the orchard with the chickens. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I like to post at least twice a week, if not more. So thank you very much for watching.